I want to thank everyone. I know it's late. I want to thank you, Council President and colleagues, for the opportunity to speak this evening. I just want you to share with you that this past year, we've really worked to try to build a case for what we've been doing in Philadelphia. Really hasn't been working great for a lot of Philadelphians. It hasn't produced family-sustaining jobs for all our residents, nor has it invited enough people and businesses here to sustain jobs into the future. We started off the budget season with a big and bold approach on the net income taxes to try and focus on how we change our trajectory. And given where this body is today, we circulated an amendment, thanks to Councilmember Derek Green with his guidance and advice, that brings this bold plan down to a 1-year reduction of net income taxes, but works to start a conversation about how we put Philadelphia on a new path. A few weekends ago, some of us read a report that noted in 1970, about 51 years ago, there were 940,000 jobs in Philadelphia, and today, 5 decades later, we have about 700,000 jobs, 25% less jobs, less opportunities for our people. It also means that we've been managing economic decline for the last 50 years. We have an opportunity today. This is a moment in time where we can write a new story going forward. We've never received $1.4 billion from the federal government, and this is a time where we're managing the economic growth for future decades. And we know what we have to do because it's been studied and discussed repeatedly for decades. We know our tax structure has punished our people and businesses far too long. And instead of relying on Band-Aids that we've relied on in the past, this is the time to tackle what's holding us back. The current tax structure is failing our city and our residents and our businesses. And the number one problem, to be very clear, is the 6.2% net income tax. When added to the state income tax, it creates a 16.2% tax on business income for businesses located in Philadelphia. Only New York City is higher at 17.2. We're at 16.2. All other major U.S. cities and across the country are much lower than us. The third highest is California, which is San Francisco, L.A., San Diego. They're at 8.8. We are at 16.2. Washington, D.C. is 8.25. We're at 16.2. And Chicago is at 7, and we're at 16.2. This is the reason why we're not producing these good family-sustaining jobs. We're the only city in the country in the last 10 years where the greatest number of jobs created were at 35,000 or less. In fact, 60% of the jobs created in the last 10 years were for jobs paying less than 35,000, while the national average was 29% of the jobs created were less than 35,000. In addition to conducting a study of our tax structure, we've had several discussions with businesses of all sizes in every neighborhood. And through these conversations, it became clear that our net income tax is essentially a tax that penalizes local businesses. And we need to stop punishing local small businesses with a tax their competitors in the city don't have to pay. So take a look at what's happening in the suburbs. And we've talked about this. Companies are locating and expanding outside our city. They're creating family-sustaining jobs that pay over $35,000 to $100,000 and more. King of Prussia has had $4 billion of investment and another $1 billion in the next 12 months. It's growing its residents and jobs, and many of those should have been in Philadelphia. But what King of Prussia doesn't have is a 6.2% local net income tax, and they don't have a 3.87 wage tax. This legislation is about creating good-paying jobs for Philadelphians, period. And like I mentioned before, we can't keep doing what we're doing and expect those who have choices and who will make them, they'll probably not make that choice for Philadelphia. And for anyone who believes this is trickle-down economics, I ask you to take a drive out to the suburbs and just look at what's being built. Look at the corporate campuses that exist. Look at the surrounding row homes, townhouses, and apartment complexes going up. What they're doing is duplicating what we have here, but yet they're creating good-paying jobs while doing it because they don't have the tax structure. If we don't listen to and understand how businesses are making decisions, we will fail to grow the middle class here in Philadelphia. 1 mile beyond our border, it's a thriving economic engine. In fact, when you look at the jobs in Philadelphia, we are 25% below the suburbs. We're the only city on the East Coast that is that far below our suburbs in job growth. So I ask you all today to vote for jobs in Philadelphia. This is very important to me. And growing jobs here helps to grow our population and helps us fund our programs for the long term. Right now, we have the lowest median household income regionally, lower than Camden County by 20,000. We have the greatest number of low-wage earning jobs of all major cities. We have the lowest formation of black and brown businesses on the East Coast, and we have the lowest formation of total businesses. We have 10 large employers here. Only 2 pay business taxes, American Airlines and Comcast. The other 8 are educational universities and hospitals. So I encourage my colleagues to support this amendment and take action to create better paying jobs in our city. This is a moment in time. I'm not sure we'll see this again in my lifetime, but it's an opportunity for us to try to fix what's caused our employment decline in the last 50 years. Thank you, Council President.
It's Councilman Domb.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I just also want to acknowledge Councilmember Sanchez and all the work you've done, and I heard you loud and clear, and I appreciate everything you've done, and I'm happy to work with you over the summer on other things like this. And I just think that when you look at this, if we had done this 20 years ago, we wouldn't be in this position today. We wouldn't have had, when you look at that Pew report in the pandemic, we're second to Detroit. And there's never a good time, ever, to do this. And Councilman O, I will mention this. If it was up to me, I'd be reducing the net income from 6.2 to 0 over 10 years, but I don't have the votes for it. And Councilmember Green advised me to scale back, which I did in order to try to get the votes, and that's why we did just this reduction from a 6.2 to 5.875 that would continue permanently, but it would go down for the first year. So similar to the wage tax proposal that we have in front of us. And I will say that, you talk about progressives getting jobs, and eConsult did the report. Okay, they did the study. This is a third party. We had 3 bills originally. We had lowering wage taxes, lowering net income, and paying the higher of the 2, net income or gross receipts. eConsult did the study and said, forget the third bill, basically. It doesn't produce the results. Put all the focus into net income. In fact, they showed in their charts that reducing net income produced new jobs 3-to-1 versus reducing wage taxes. And all I'm trying to do here is get the city on a better path in the next 10, 20 years. I probably won't be here in 20 years, but the city hopefully will benefit. And if someone had done this 20 years ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. Anyway, I want to thank you all. I respect all of your opinions, Council President. I respect your opinion on this, and I hope we can move forward, but I totally understand where everybody is. Thank you.